being a local representative right here in Cumberland County, have a lot of state employees, both civil service and all of the other types that we have with unionized as well as management. So I just have a couple quick questions. One of the issues that came under with the merger is the testing and the ability. And one of the many calls that I get is the frustration with testing not being offered as much as people are looking for jobs, and there's not a test for 9 months, but they're looking for a job now. So can you kind of give me a little bit of an update with this merger and bringing this in? What the testing is, what's changing, and will be offering testing more frequently, or what can I tell my constituents?
Okay.
Thank you for the question. There are a couple of things that we're doing that are changing the landscape of how we test, and I think one of the benefits of going down to vacancy-based testing, which means having the test available when we have a vacancy, is in the long run a better process for the applicant, because what we want to avoid is, because people could stay on a list for a year, is them testing for something and then just not hearing and waiting for that availability survey to come in to say, oh, now we have an opening here, there, or wherever. So we're trying to avoid that process so those candidates aren't in limbo and waiting for something to be open. We are moving in a direction where, for instance, I'll give you an example for some of those larger pools of candidates, like the corrections officers. Testing is available whenever they'd like to take the test. After they are qualified for the test, then actually apply to where the vacancy is, because corrections are, of course, all over the Commonwealth. So they may not want to apply to a facility that's in a location that's not where they are. So they're notified when vacancies come up in their area, and then they apply. They're on the list. They have their score. They're applying to that actual vacancy in that actual location. So we're doing some of those things that just make it smarter for the candidates while we can still adhere to the merit principles.
Okay, thank you. Because the ability, and even just being local, and it was mentioned earlier, just trouble getting to the test sites. And we're local here, so we're a little bit, have that proximity is not the issue. It's just the when it was being offered. So, and I think that will help in the sense of people kind of saying, well, I'm on the list, but I have never been called. So this way, if there's something available, then they'll have that. So I appreciate that. One of the issues that when the combination happened, I know that with civil service, if I understand it correctly, the two parts that have to kind of stay in fact is the desk audit type of operation, as well as any of the appeals. Could you explain how that's going to kind of stay separate versus what OA normally would do?
Sure. So we took over all the administrative functions from recruit to hire. There was a lot of duplication in those areas because we had things being done at the HR agency level, the OA level, and then in addition, they were happening at the commission level. So we took over that administrative bucket. So there are about 51 employees that have transferred into the Office of Administration that handle those hiring functions. And as Secretary Newsom mentioned, we're in the process of doing process redesign sessions where those staff members, our staff members, hiring managers, we're all coming together to see how we could make that process just a little bit smoother.
Are you seeing a cost savings?
We are seeing a cost savings off
Do you
the
know
bat.
what that?
So the way civil services bill, they actually forward bill. So they have billed through January of this coming summer. The billing model will switch over to the to the OA summer of 2019. I can say off the bat that we have saved, I just want to also note that there were about 15 or so IT members who moved into OA in addition to the HR employees. We've seen some savings already in the IT arena because we were able to leverage enterprise solutions and get them off old unsupported technology. So about $300K in IT savings so far. We're also moving a vast majority of staff into our facilities, so we believe that we will see some reduction in overhead cost, and not enough to move the needle tremendously, but we do believe there will be savings that'll come through as a part of this effort. Okay,
great. And one last question, real quick, a little bit different subject matter. In the budget, taking a look at it, there's a number of entries that are funds being added, and these are the official terms, the redistribution of parking costs. And I can't quite exactly figure out, it's listed a number of times. Can you explain what those entries are necessarily? And I'm assuming they're actual physical parking payments, is that?
So I wish I could go into this in a bit more detail, but I can tell you, as all these business areas came together, there were a lot of things that we had to do to kind of complete this merger. A very important thing for employees is parking and where they park.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's a lot of operational costs that we're trying to come up with a standard process, so that it's not just kind of a free-for-all about who gets the parking. And so we're fair to employees about how the parking's allocated. And those may be what those costs are for, but I really can't speak to that.
Okay, because it was more than just civil service. That's why I was just curious. It was kind of all through the OA budget. I wasn't sure what that indicated. So
Right. I believe it's a product of shared services and normalizing in the shared services environment.
okay, and if we can just get a little bit more information on that and where that money came from. I mean, in the sense of who paid for it in the past and where we're shifting it from, just to be able to kind of follow the paper trail.